Try to keep you close to me, but life got in between. Try to square not being in there, but think that I should have been. Hold back the river, let me look in your eyes. Hold back the river so I can stop for a minute and see where you hide. Hold back the river, hold back. Once upon a different night, we rode our bikes into the sky. Now we crawl against the tide. Those distant days are flashing by. Hold back the river, let me look in your eyes. Hold back the river so I can stop for a minute and be by your side. Hold back the river, hold back. Hold back the river, let me look in your eyes.
Back down to the river. If you've watched my previous videos, you'll see that this looks exactly the same as when we last left off. And the reason why is because I'm still not sure about the color. So I haven't been stagnant. I have done some other things to kind of move forward. So I did this. This is, I guess, maybe what you'd call a diorama. I used the New England brownstone, talus. I did some rock castings here and tried a couple different color techniques. This rock here, that was my first attempt and it was terrible. And the others I think are okay. I'm still not sure of the color. And the thing that's bothering me the most about this is the fact that the talus itself, the smaller rocks, do not match the color of the larger rocks. And also the fine soil color is completely wrong for the Colorado area. As far as the overall texture of this, I do like it. As far as the technique goes, I guess I'm okay with how it turned out, you know, texture-wise. But the colors, I can't live with those colors. I've got to find something different. So I went to the hardware store to see if I could find some different paints. And this is what I've come up with. I'm going to give these two different colors a chance. This is hot sand. I think this one's called sourdough. But I'm going to see if that helps me out any at all. And I also think I need to change the actual, you know, I used grout in here is what I used. And the grout wasn't near that dark when I started, but after you glue it all down, it did darken up considerably. So I'm going to try a different color of grout. I might even just go ahead and do one test run of something else with just sand from my backyard. See if that will work all right. The ballast I do like. That's the New England brownstone ballast. I think regardless of everything else I do, I think that ballast is going to work well. Well, I didn't paint the track because that wasn't really what I was focusing on. I just wanted to see what the ballast looked like. But that's what I'm going to do next. I'm gonna do another diorama with some different colors. I won't be this extensive with it like I did here. I kind of got carried away, made it a little more than it needed to be for my purposes. But that's what I'm going to do now is work on a few more techniques and colors and see if I get something closer to what I'm looking for. So this is what I've done. I've taken a plaster casting, rock mold, and I've given 4 different base coats. This here is Sahara Desert Sand. I think I got that from Walmart. This is the hot sand color. This is the sourdough color. And then this is just a very thin down black wash. So I'm going to use that as kind of a starting point, a jumping off point to add colors from there to kind of see what I like. So here are some test samples. What I've done is I've taken the hot sand, the sourdough, the Sahara Desert, and a wash of black. And this whole row here was done with the hot sand, so on and so forth. And then the bottom row here, everything was washed with black except this. And then this next row, everything was washed with yellow ochre. Now this row here was all washed black. So on this one, you know, this started as a complete wash in black with a yellow ochre on top. And so far, this is my winner. I've actually have kind of 3 different colors in there with only a 2-step process. And then the top row here, everything is washed with burnt umber. So that's what I'm looking at. You know, what I'm trying to do is get an easy 3-step process for coloring these rocks. A base coat, a wash, and then a highlight. So I think right now, this is what I'm looking at as being my winner. And then this one also looks pretty good. And it's almost an inverse of the other one in that it started out as kind of a yellow ochre already washed with black, and then this was a wash with black, then washed again with yellow ochre. So, but this, I don't know if you can see, but it kind of already has 3 or 4 different colors in there, and that took no effort whatsoever to do. I'm just not sure if it's gonna be somewhat prototypical for the area. Again, you know, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for something that is a good representation of the area I'm trying to model and provides a good backdrop for the trains, because ultimately that's all it's going to be, is a backdrop for the trains. You know, I suppose if a geologist gets on my video and points out that my rocks are the wrong color for the area that I'm driving my trains in, then I'll go sorry. But that's what I'm thinking about doing now. I think I'm going to do some dry brushing techniques on these just to see. So here's what I ended up with. I did just a little bit of dry brushing with the hot sand. So, and I think I got my recipe wrong in the last segment. This is a wash of black, so that I started with something that was kind of gray in color. Then I washed it again with what the heck is it called? The other color that I got just today. Sourdough. So the next color on top of the black wash is sourdough, and it was a little heavier wash than the black. And then the final thing I did was come back and just very lightly dry brush the high spots with the hot sand. So I actually only used 3 colors, but the way it worked out, you know, you end up with several colors in there. And then these 2 pieces here, I did the exact same thing with, but you know, your results are gonna vary from everything that you do, just cause sometimes the way the cast takes the color from one point to another might be a little bit different. But I think that's probably what I'm gonna go with. I'm really happy with the colors, I think. Now the next step is, can I come in here and represent these colors? And I know I'm not gonna be able to do it perfectly, but I wanna come in here and try and make this area match a little more with what's gonna happen here. And I may even try and hit these rocks here and get them a little closer to that. And I know I won't be too successful because those rocks have already taken color and won't take color again in the same way. But I'm gonna do a little more experimentation with this area in here, just kind of see what I come up with. All right, I've done a little more work on just this section back there. Again, it's not, I wouldn't call this a representation of my best work for sure, because I just couldn't get the rocks to take the color the way I wanted to. And none of these, I think, were actually washed with black before I began. I think this one kind of was, but it was so dark that it didn't really work at all the way I wanted it to, even to begin with. Now, as far as the small talus goes, I don't know what I'm gonna do there. I think I'm probably just gonna literally have to paint that kind of thing the color that I want it to be. Otherwise, it's just never gonna match, or possibly looking at different talus. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do, but you know, this is kind of ugly at the moment, just because I'm just messing around with it. You know, trying to transform it from something that it already was to something that I wanted it to be. But what I feel good enough that I can, with the colors that I've chosen, that I can move on to the next step and actually use the colors on the time saver. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, is go ahead and jump off into the time saver with these colors and see what I can accomplish. I'm gonna get started on the rock castings now. So I've got some black acrylic mixed with water and isopropyl alcohol, and we're gonna see what this looks like. Here are the results after the wash with the black. And you can see some of the casting didn't take the wash quite as well as the others. And what I tried to do is, you know, darken it up in a few kind of randomized places, or places where I thought there would be more shadow. And hopefully that will provide some good variation in the rock color. That was the idea. Now I'm getting ready to go on the next color, which this is the sourdough. And I sure hope this works, because once I do this, there's probably no going back. I've got the wash of the sourdough over top of everything. And I also went ahead and washed into the river, and it's still wet, so I don't really know exactly what the results are going to be until it dries. But just trying to make sure everything kind of has the same general color to begin with. And I'm thinking these rocks turned out pretty good. I've got multiple different colors in there now. I have not dry brushed yet. This is just the second step, which is the washing with the sourdough. But I'm thinking that back there, I'm gonna go ahead and try in a couple of spots, just a little bit, with a wash of burnt umber, just to see if I can't give it a little more depth than what it has right now. So I think I'm gonna try that. I don't think I need to do that here. I think this in here is fine. I just need to go back and dry brush with the burnt sand color, and I'll be happy with it. One thing I haven't done yet, before I go too much further, I need to go ahead and paint my track. So I think that's probably gonna be the next thing I do, even before I dry brush, is go ahead and from about here over, go ahead and paint all the track up and get it ready for ballasting. Getting ready to paint the track. Got some paper towels out just to make sure that I don't get any bad overspray anywhere. I'm gonna go with Ace Hardware's Ruddy Brown Primer. Ace Hardware is the closest thing I have to a hobby shop where I live. So I think this is gonna work, so here I go. The track is painted. All in all, I think it's going to be a good color. It sure did change the area around it, though. Had a pretty wide nozzle spray. I'm definitely glad I used the paper towels, or that could have been a disaster. So, it also took me a lot longer to do than what I was expecting. By the time I cut all of the sleepers and got the sleepers put in, and then the paint off of the top of the rail heads, I kind of figured I needed to do that. It chewed up a significant amount of time. But I'm gonna get back to this now. I'm gonna do some dry brushing. The river's pretty much dry, and it does kind of have a slight coloration of the sourdough color. So we're gonna see how it goes from here. All right, I've got the dry brushing complete. So I'm calling these particular rocks here complete. I'm fairly satisfied. Of course, I don't know how that's showing up on video. I can tell you underneath my lights in here, there's quite a bit of orange still, but I'm not overly concerned about it. If you look in here, I think, prior to doing that dry brushing, and just looking at everything else, you might have thought it would just look like a big old pumpkin. But that's gonna be covered up. What I'm going for is that color of rock there. And I did a heavier dry brush. Yeah, there's quite a bit of change in color there. I did a heavier dry brush on this back side. In my opinion, there's at least two different kinds of dry brushing. There's the kind of dry brushing where you actually kind of change the overall color. And then there's another kind of dry brushing where you just barely hit the tops of things, where you're just trying to bring out just the hint of a highlight. So that was a heavy dry brush back there, and it was more of a lighter dry brush here. I think what I'm going to do now is go ahead and paint everything from here over to here, probably as far as that turnout there, and get everything kind of painted the same color. I've applied some more paint, kind of draw everything back together, but it's still not there yet. The next step, of course, is going to be putting the ground base on, and I'm still kind of indecisive about that. I'm probably going to end up with just going with sand and dirt from the backyard, just to make things simple. It will always be available to me. It's free. I like the super dirt. Really good stuff, but I don't think it's going to work for anything other than maybe riverbeds. So, but I'm going to call it quits for this weekend. Get a video posted, and hopefully get some more done next weekend. Thanks for watching.
Hold back the river, let me look